All right, well, I'm going to shoot this again. I don't know what the hell I did when I took you out of the holder. I zapped it off, but fucking A. Moral of the story, I just got a bunch of saws in. One customer sent me 10 to go through. They're having problems with everything they sent me. Also, from another customer, I just got a 461 in. I got a 394 to rebuild right there. So this customer, I've been through all their big power saws. These are all running. Don't have any running issues right now. I'm just going to do chains. So I was hand filing. This one had 36 full comp on it, 115 drive length, and it hit something. So I decided to grind it. I went through, ground it, and I'm resetting the depth gauges. And I want to show you the right way to do it. Now, typically, I file with a progressive gauge. Looks like this. It's got a hardwood and a softwood side. This is the softwood side on the left. The hardwood side, you can't see where it says hardwood because it's all been filed off. But I use these on my chains. These are the best raker drag depth gauge there is. And a flat file. 99% of the time, this is how I take my depth gauges down. And you can see how much this one gets used. See another one out here. That one is a new one. This one's starting to get pretty whooped. This one's kind of worn on both sides. But anyway, I'm gonna grind the rakers. I'm gonna show you the right way to do it if you have a grinder. I'm grinding these on the Oregon grinder. I profiled my big 1/4-inch rock because I'm never going to use that huge rock for grinding chains. I don't have any harvester chain or anything like that. So I profiled this rock instead of, if you look in the manual, it tells you to profile the rock that you're using. After you get done grinding your teeth, you profile the rock that you're using over to that profile and then grind your rakers. And then you got to go ahead and profile it back around again. Well, I'm profiling this rock, so just switch out rocks. What I did was, they tell you to use this little hummus stone here, a little grinding stone. I usually use this to profile my wheels. You can see all the marks in it. But you put that stone in here, and you come down until your round rock ends up with this profile. What I did instead was I took one of these cheapo Harbor Freight diamond plates, and I put the diamond plate in there without the chain in here, obviously. Just kind of slid it back and forth, and it cut it really fast. It would have taken forever with the stone, but this thing cut it really fast. Gave a nice flat profile. Not sure I agree with that yet, and I'll talk about it in a minute here. And they send you this little thing to check all your profiles, and it's got a little raker depth gauge knockouts on it here and there. So here's your 3/8, here's your 25 thousandths drop to check your depth gauges like this. It's kind of stupid, it's clumsy. What I did was I took my gauge in. I'm going to put you in the holder for a second. Hopefully I don't screw this up again, because if I do, I'm not going to reshoot it. I'll show you how fast this goes, even though I've already done 3/4 of the chain on the other video. So what I did was, at the beginning of my chain, I'm doing the hardwood side because I think the softwood setting would be too deep for a 372 yanking a 36 full comp. I put it on here, filed off, and this is doing it perfect. I mean, it's just barely touching. Filed off my first one, and then I came down and used my depth adjustment until, let it down little by little by little until it just touched the first one. Then I'm ripping through the chain. So it'll all be the same. I balance both sides when I ground it, so I can grind all the depth gauges the same. And I'll show you how fast it goes here. Now I'm not sure that I agree with grinding this rock so it cuts these rakers flat. I think they should be tapered off. So I think I'm going to do it a little different in the future. That might have something to do with the teeny little bit of gap that's in between these at the bottom of the stroke to get them the same. But I'd rather have my drags tapered off a little bit. So I think what I'll do is I'll grind the stone like this, and then I'll angle it just a teeny bit more on my head angle, so it's not grinding them flat. And this is the first one. That's the one that I set it with. So that's how fast it goes. Now really taking this chain back to, you know, brand new, the right way. Would I go through all this mess on my own chains? I don't know. If I had nothing better to do, I guess. But as far as for a customer, now they've got a balanced, perfectly sharp depth gauges down. Now I've got a rock that I can throw on pretty quickly. Show you how fast it comes on and off. Let's get you a view over here. If I can get around all the saws here. I can show you how fast you can switch out a rock anyway. Somebody say, I'm not switching out a rock every time. That's ridiculous. Well, you know, it happens pretty quick, and God forbid I have one of these in a, you know, impact wrench or something like that, so I could do even faster. So this is the big 1/4-inch rock. It's really thick. I'm never going to use this for the chains that I do. Now, as you can see, it's profiled for depth gauges, and you're going to have to dress it from time to time. You're going to cut a big groove in it, but now it's profiled for depth gauges. And we'll put our old rock back on. I am going to have to profile this rock probably on the next chain. You know what? Let's do that, since rather than shooting a 15-second video here. Shit, where did I do my... There it is. Let's go ahead and profile this rock. These don't need to be very tight. You don't want to break the rock. All right, so I'm going to do it with this diamond stone. Typically, I do it with this. You can see, hopefully, you can see where I've used it to profile the rock. Let me get you. God, it's got all this crap all over the floor. I wonder if I can, just something's going on here. I don't know what's going on. I must have bent my thing. Let me get you, I'm going to get you down. And I'll reach around it. I'll reach around you. I'll look through the viewfinder. So, what you do is you take your little gauge here. One of them says is 7/16, it's 404, there's 3/8. So we want to profile to this. Now it's pretty close. I find that I need some light. So I don't know if you can see that, but you see how on the left side of that, it's pretty worn and it's not very round. So we're going to reprofile. Keep my light right here. Also, you're going to want to set your, I don't know if you, depends if you have one of these grinders, but you set this thing so it doesn't come down. So take a look at it. and I see that I have to round that corner more. Hopefully you guys can see that. See that corner that's not touching there? I got to round that side. So we flip it on, and then got to round off the whole rock. This will also, you know, obviously dress it. Doing this around the camera, but doing it by eye. Let's check it. That's how you get yourself a brand new see what it looks like now. Oh, it's pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. Just going to take this corner and round it just a teeny bit more. That did a really good job, and it cuts really fast too. At least these cheapo diamond plates. That cuts that stone pretty quick. Slow it down with this nice and flat against the side here. Just getting some crap off it. Let's check it again. Probably need just a, you can probably see that, I guess. Needs a teeny bit more. It's not perfect. If anything, I made a little bit of a funny flat on it. I can tell, just looking at it turning, I can tell that's pretty good. Okay, so I'm straight on. I don't know if you guys can see how good you guys can see that, but that's actually pretty good. Yeah. That's beautiful. I don't even have to put light to it. I'm gonna, but yeah, it's perfect. So that's how you reprofile your stone. That's how you check it. You're going to hear people. The reason that I did this is I saw a video the other day where the guy was grinding his chains and his rakers with kind of willy-nilly, and, you know, this is how I do it, and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's all well and good if you're working on your own stuff. If you're working on customer stuff, you can't send it back willy-nilly and shit, crappy chains and stuff. You got to, you know, when they get it back, it's got to look nice. You got to have, you know, a perfectly ground tooth. And I know it's kind of dirty, but, you know, you have to have a perfectly ground tooth, and you got to have your drags at the right height, and, you know, saws that run, and a bar that maybe is dressed. I mean, I'll check their bars real quick, but now what I'll do is I'm going to check those chains on those other saws. If any of them that need to be ground, and bring them in here and grind them, because they're all LGX, so the settings are all the same. I'll grind them, then I'll put the depth gauge rock back on, and I'll do all the depth gauges. I'll put them all back together, and I'll take those 5, which is half of what he brought me, back to him. And then probably later I'll start on these top handles. I see one of them got smashed. Yeah, that one got smashed. Is that a 201 or a 190? This is a 192 TC. That one gets smashed. That one's going to need a handle, so I don't have to worry about that one. That's a 201. You got the little battery saws, and then that 435, I think it is, the Husqvarna. Oh, and another 192 over there. So I'll get at those later. Obviously, I'll hand file all those chains because it takes 2 seconds. And that's what I'm up to. But I want to show the right way to do this. You can, you know, in the past, I've set it so that this comes, you know, to do it on here, to do the depth gauges, and I pull it down against the stop once I get my height right. I keep this thing out of the way and just pull the chain backwards underneath the stone. And you just go zip, and then go to the next one, and zip, 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 pick it up, go to the next one, pull it all the way down, hold it down, pull the chain backwards. That's how I used to do it on that one. But this one, you know, with such a nice setup, might as well utilize it. Now I have a depth gauge rock, and I will explain the way that this rock sits. It's going to cut the top of the depth gauges flat. I don't really want them flat. I want a little bit of angle to them like that. So I probably will just end up rocking the stone over a little bit more, so it's not perfectly perpendicular like that, but it's cutting more like that. You want a little bit of slope to your depth gauges. You don't depth gauges, rakers, whatever you want to call them. You don't want them cut flat across the top. It'll be chattery. You want them to slope slightly down. That's smoother for bore cutting and everything else. But so hope this video helps somebody, and I'm gonna put this saw back together and grab another chain and just keep going at it. So hope you guys are having a great day. I'm also gonna do those extendable trimmers, find out what's wrong with this one other than the fact that they bent it. So that's what I'm at. No sawmilling today. Hope you have a good one. Take care.